This is the Creative Liberty Podcast. As the sun came up this morning, America began its first Monday in a post-Roe America. Guys, this is God's grace being poured out on America right now. So those of us on the pro-life side can rejoice because this very well could save hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of babies' lives. We should rejoice and praise God. If you've never read Roe v. Wade, it's garbage legislation. I'll mention some of the lies of Roe later. But for now, there is hope in America in the pro-life arena today. Donald Trump doesn't need to run again. His legacy in appointing originalist judges to the Supreme Court and seeing Roe overturned is a legacy he can retire on. He got more done in 4 years than most presidents did in 8. So Christians and those in the pro-life movement can rejoice today, but our victory lap is short because the race has just begun. What does this decision mean today? It means that abortion has just been handed back to the states as it should have been from the beginning. No one's rights have been taken away. Women can still get abortions. So the outrage we see from the left should move from D.C. to their local state houses, because that's where the fight is really going to happen. And all the vitriol and the anger and the threats, they're going to come home locally. So everyone's screaming about the Supreme Court justices. It's going to come home locally. So be prepared for it. And I hope that the conservatives and the Republicans are willing and have the backbone to withstand the fight. Some states will automatically ban abortions, and some states will have a heartbeat period of 15 weeks, which means that any woman can still get an abortion anytime before a heartbeat is detected. And some states will continue with abortion on demand and partial birth abortion. This also means that we can have a robust debate in the states on whether or not abortion is something that the citizens want in their cities and states. That's how a republic operates. And this just in today, Mississippi will ban abortions in 10 days. Let me tell you what I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about things like ectopic pregnancies where the fetus won't survive and it has to be aborted or removed. Or when in most rare cases where the life of the mother is at risk. What I am talking about is abortion on demand, partial birth abortion. Abortion after birth, which just means leaving a child to die. Or even worse, when an abortion isn't successful and the baby lives and they just leave it to die. Did you know that there are hundreds of people who are living today, grown and living productive lives, who are the product of a botched abortion? They lived. Yeah. So none of that is women's health. It's just unadulterated murdering a baby. And that is why we need to help flip the script and in our culture that glorifies death. Abortion on demand has nothing to do with a woman's choice with her own body. Her choice kind of started when she had sex. Once she's pregnant, she is now the steward and caretaker of a different body growing inside her. A baby human being that's inside her own body. As God designed women to do. He designed women to grow and care for with their bodies the child. He didn't design men that way, contrary to popular belief. One of the best choices a woman can ever make, besides putting her faith in Jesus, one of the best choices a woman can ever make is bringing that baby to term and raising it in a loving family as its mother. And if she can't do that, then giving that child up for adoption is an option. And there are many families out there who would love to have that child and raise that child in a loving family. For those of us in the pro-life movement and Christians, there's work to be done. And that's really the gist of this podcast, is to really talk about what's the work to be done. Because if we stop here and we just say, yay, Roe v. Wade's overturned, and we go about our business, then we are not fighting the fight. We really shouldn't be able to call ourselves pro-life at that point. Okay? So Here's the work that needs to be done. The first and most important work to be done is prayer. Hearts are not changed on any issue like this without God moving in people's hearts and minds. God is the one who can change hearts, not us. No debate will change hearts. No amount of information will change hearts. It's our mission to pray that there is a change of hearts for the value, and the sanctity of life in those who are pro-abortion. And if there are women out there listening to this and you've had an abortion, just know that there is a God that loves you and forgives you. And as Christians, we need to show grace, forgiveness, and mercy to those women who've had abortions or may be contemplating an abortion. It can be a scary place finding yourself pregnant and alone with hard decisions to make. There are alternatives to abortion, and we need to be praying for the women going into abortion clinics and coming out. We need to meet them where they are, either before they go in or when they come out, with resources, love, and guidance for their next steps. Secondly, we need to support pro-life clinics like the Alpha Center in Fort Collins, who help women through their pregnancies. Those agencies who offer sonograms to women so that they can see their baby, who offer counseling, diapers, mentorship, and support for women. We also need to support those women who've had abortions and who may need counseling. These are areas where those on the pro-life side can put their money and time. There are many pro-life clinics who are asking for security during this time and when the left is threatening violence towards clinics, workers, and their patients. So we need strong men to stand up and be security for these clinics, whether it's just to spend the night watching or actually being an off-duty officer. We need that to happen. Churches should also put their time and treasure in supporting families who want to adopt because it's expensive. They should also come alongside mothers, single mothers and fathers, and help them financially and practically. It's the church's responsibility, not the government's. Instead of building larger buildings and spending money internally, it would be a testament for churches to adopt and foster children. We need to promote adoption and adoption agencies. When my wife and I went through the adoption process, we learned that there is one child for every 43 waiting couples. We learned that actually abortions were down. Millennials were waiting longer to have kids. Women and men have more access to birth control, and they're not kids and single people are not getting pregnant as they have in the past decades. We should support and work with adoption agencies to help them streamline the process to make the process easier. Adoption is not for the faint of heart. It is a hard job, just like any parenting, but there's added things that come with it. We should also vote for candidates that are pro-life on the city and state level. This is where the legislative work begins. It may involve you running for office in your city or state if your state or city doesn't have a pro-life candidate. Call your legislature. Let them know that you want pro-life laws. Let them hear your voice. Let them know you're out there. When you're having conversations with people and you've built relationships with people, because that's really where it's going to begin, is building relationships with people, you need to present the science of life starting at conception. Show people what a 13-week-old baby looks like. It has hands and feet and a head and a torso. Show people what an abortion looks like if they really want to know. Power fights power. If people are going to protest outside the homes of Supreme Court justices, then we need to also show up in support of those same Supreme Court justices and protest peacefully. Now, I say protest peacefully, but if you're attacked by the left, then most definitely defend yourself. Now, I mentioned that there were some lies about Roe v. Wade, and I want to read you just a few. This is from liveaction.org, exposing the 6 lies of Roe v. Wade that led to legal abortion. I'm not going to read everything. You can go find this article. I'll actually link to it in the show notes. But lie number 1, Jane Roe had been raped. The truth, she wasn't raped, and she never had an abortion. Actually, the baby Roe was actually 2 years old when Roe was eventually passed. Lie number 2. 60% of Americans wanted to legalize abortion. The truth. Abortion advocates told the media that they had public opinion on their side. They didn't. I will read you this. Dr. Bernard Nathanson was one of the main proponents of legalized abortion. He founded NARAL, but later became pro-life. He admitted, "We persuaded the media that the cause of permissive abortion was a liberal, enlightened, sophisticated one. Knowing that if a true poll were taken, we would be soundly defeated, we simply fabricated the results of fictional polls. We announced to the media that we had taken polls and that 60% of Americans were in favor of permissive abortion. This is the tactic of the self-fulfilling lie. Few people care about being in the minority." End quote. So this is the type of legislation and stuff that they put in Roe v. Wade. Lie number 3. 1 million illegal abortions had taken place in the U.S. The truth. The number of illegal abortions was a mere fraction of this. Nathanson also admitted to additional lies, including that 1 million legal abortions had taken place in the United States. In reality, he later said that the number was approaching 100,000, and that by fabricating this number, they were able to drum up support for abortion. Again, the legislation was filled with lies. Lie number 4, 10,000 women died annually from illegal abortions. The truth, the actual number was around 300, even less the year before Roe. Lie number 5, legal abortion would lead to safe abortion. The truth, women are still injured and killed by abortion. Lie number 6, the embryo, fetus, preborn are not human beings. The truth, biology and technology show us that the preborn can be nothing other than human. So I'll link to this in the show notes. But that is the 6 lies that were in the legislation with Roe v. Wade. So there's work to be done for Christians and pro-lifers. And I think the most important is just prayer. In times like these, just praying for people, showing people grace, love, and mercy, but also standing strong in our convictions and what we believe the Word of God says about all of humanity, that we are born in the image of God. We are all in the image of God, and each one of us uniquely created to glorify God in our own way. And so that is why we love, support, cherish life. And I'm of the opinion, it's my opinion, that even through rape or incest, that child doesn't deserve to die. That is a life that has been created in the image of God. It may have not have been created in the perfect circumstance that God has aligned us for through marriage, but it's still a life. Now, we've all committed murder in our hearts, according to Jesus, whenever we've hated someone. So that's where we have to show love and mercy and the forgiveness of Jesus Christ, because he has forgiven us for our own murderous hearts and our own murderous ways, so that we can rejoice in. And we can share that with others. We can share the love of Christ with others. With that being said, I'm glad that Roe v. Wade has been returned to the states. Let the states decide. Let the American people decide. Let's have this robust conversation, because as science has progressed, we now know that a child can live outside the womb, I think at 22 to 24 weeks on its own, with ventilators and things like that. And so as the science catches up to all this, it's easier and easier for more people to realize that, there's really no reason for us to be aborting children, especially when there's 43 to 1 waiting families per child. We have to flip that script on being a culture that glorifies death and destruction, and be one that values life and the benefits and the well-being of mothers. All right. It's a great day in America. Now let's get to work. I want to thank you all for listening to the Creative Liberty Podcast. Until next time, until the next Supreme Court ruling, which actually came down today, you can pray wherever you want to. It's your right. Not given to us by the government. Given to us by God. Pray wherever you want to. Even if you're a football coach on the football field. All right. Thank y'all for listening. I'll talk to y'all soon. Like I said, let's get to work.